Hello, and welcome to Let My People Eat, a podcast that provides satisfying talk about kosher nutrition. Here we clear through the clutter of nutrition speak, arm you with the clarity and confidence to eat, feel, and be your healthiest every day. I am Jill Scharfman, a board-certified holistic nutritionist living in Los Angeles, and with me is Dr. Andrea Moskowitz.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andrea Moskowitz, and I'm a neuroscientist and psychiatrist. I use my training and experience to integrate positive lifestyle changes into my patients' lives.
Hey, Andrea.
Hey, Jill. How's it going?
It's going well. I got an email from Esty that I want to read to you because I think it's very relevant for this time. It says, Dear Jill and Andrea, Purim is right around the corner, and underneath all the fun of choosing costumes and delivering shalach manas, I, like many parents, are worried about how much candy will come into our home. I don't want to put too many restrictions on my kids, as Purim only comes once a year. But if I give them free rein to eat whatever they want that day, it never ends well.
No, it doesn't.
Please help. Thanks so much, Esty. So, I think we all love Purim. It's a fabulous holiday. I think it's very unfair that it comes so quickly before Pesach because we get loaded up with all of this stuff 3 weeks before. And then what do we do with it? So, it's a little tricky. You get all this candy delivered to your home. You're buying candy to give out.
Right.
It's all very pretty packaging and very...
it's gorgeous. It looks so yummy.
Very nice, fun-sized candy. But then, we start to eat. It's a busy day.
Right.
And then we have some hamantashen, and then we go to eat the Suda. And it's just eating all day. So I think it would be a good idea to answer Esty's question and, just how to help people navigate this and not end up with a Purim candy hangover at the end of the holiday. So I think, first of all, it's a good idea to move. If you have the option to deliver shalach manas and walk, put everything in a wagon, take your kids, get outside, after you go to shul in the morning, and just try and move if the weather's permitting, just take a walk around and get moving.
Right. And I would add to that, even if you usually have a workout routine, things like that, kind of plan that probably you will not be able to do it on Purim. Right. So that you don't feel like you failed or you didn't accomplish what you meant to. And instead, like you said, but count on having a walk.
Right. So
instead of anything else.
Just that you get up a little bit. Also, I think it's a good idea to stick to your usual eating routine. As
much as possible.
Right.
Yes.
People would think okay, I'm not going to eat breakfast. I'm not going to eat lunch so that I can eat all this candy and indulge and go to the Suda and eat whatever I want. But that really is going to work against you. And it's better to have your good breakfast, have a healthy lunch, have a snack, have something, some vegetables, some nuts, something before you go to the Suda so that you don't go overboard.
Exactly. And actually, speaking of that, let me just sort of put in a thing about the day before. Okay. So, this doesn't always happen, but this year it is going to happen, right? So the day before, we start off with a fast. Right. So we have Tanis Esther, which in Los Angeles, at least, starts at 5:42 in the morning, and it ends at 7:21 in the evening. And you're not supposed to eat or drink until after the Megillah reading, although there is some leniency for a lot of people. Say that if you're feeling faint or you're not feeling well, then you can before the Megillah reading. So what I plan to do, to not completely throw myself off, because a fast always throws you up a little bit, is I am an early riser. Okay. So I am going to have a really good breakfast the morning of Tanis Esther, which actually is setting you up for better eating during Purim also. Right. Because I think what people do is they come in, they haven't eaten breakfast, they're starving by the time the Megillah reading's over, and then they say, okay, I can eat this. And then the next day it's sort of a repeat. They don't eat breakfast. It's
just a few days of really hard to focus and keep it together.
Right. So what I plan to eat, just to share with people. So I plan to eat some Greek yogurt, some oatmeal with flaxseed meal, and have a banana and berries with oatmeal and with the oatmeal and a cup of coffee.
Right.
And more water.
Mm-hmm.
And then the night before, Tanis Esther, I plan to have like a big green salad and whole grain sprouted bread with some nut butter.
Right.
To sort of give me like a great foundation for coming into all of this. What would you plan to do, Jill?
Yeah, I would probably do something very similar. I'm okay getting up early in the morning, especially to have my coffee heading into the day would be a huge advantage.
Right. And because it's after the time change this year.
Yeah, it's a later.
It's a later one. The other thing too is and we'll cover this in another podcast, but for the 2 days prior, as much as possible, drink a little more water, eat more fruits and vegetables with higher water content.
Try to hydrate.
Have some more soups. And if you can, try to get your coffee consumption down to no more than 2 cups a day so that even you don't have some raging headache.
Right, that 1 o'clock headache. Yes, we all know about that. As far as what you're going to be giving out.
Yes.
You could be the boring Shalach but still make it very pretty.
Right.
As a nutritionist, I kind of feel like I can't give into that. All those candies and all the artificial coloring and all that. So, I try and make it as pretty as possible. I try and lean more towards dried fruits, nuts, chocolates, healthy beverages that are unique and different. I will throw in things that, maybe I wouldn't normally buy and everything just because they fit with my theme.
Right.
It's all about the theme.
Yep.
But I try not to go too far in that direction where it's a totally unhealthy. And you can also throw in non-candy things.
Exactly.
Just to make it more fun and more pretty. So I'd also suggest that when you're buying for your Shalach
yes,
don't buy things that are going to tempt you and that are going to be sitting around the house for 2 weeks.
Right. Or also too, like as you're packing your Shalach manas, tempting you like, oh, I have a few extra of, you choose it. I guess I'll just eat it.
Right. Yeah. So try not to either don't keep it around or don't buy the things that you love, which is what we're all tempted to do. I would also recommend that you have a splurge strategy. So, very specifically say, okay, I will eat the mini bag of potato chips.
Right.
Or I will eat the, 3 candy bars or just kind of be very specific because if you have a plan, it's easier to stay in control with that plan. So that's a good idea. Like just say, okay, tip. I'm going to allow myself to do this. Exactly. But that's good. I can enjoy myself. I can indulge. I can have fun, but I'm not going to let it get out of control. Right. You can also be careful what you're wearing. If you're wearing very loose fitting clothing, I don't know if people who get dressed up. I'd love to get dressed up. Right. But try, if you're not wearing very like if you're wearing stretchy pants, it's going to be easier to indulge than if you're wearing, a skirt with a waistband that actually fits you.
I would also say too, like when you're looking at like what you're going to have and what you're not going to have or what you're going to save and not save, to really kind of look at it and go, okay, on an ordinary time, would I look at this and really want it? Mm-hmm. Or is it just like, oh yeah, this is kind of tasty. Like, could I live without it? Have the treats that you like. But like really kind of say to yourself, do I really like it? Mm-hmm. Is it, do I really, sorry, Marie Kondo, but does this spark joy? Right. Do I really, because sometimes too, people will just eat it because it's there. But at the end of the day, they didn't really love it.
Right. Well, that's my next tip was curb it's okay. Curb mindless eating. Right. So we talked a little bit about hydrating, making sure you're eating good meals, starting off the day with exercise so that you're at least in a better framework. But also, I know we get invited to people's houses and they have big spreads out for Purim. Right. Try to keep your hands busy. Right. Have a drink of water in one hand, hold something healthy in the other hand. So just know when you're entering these situations that you're just not going to let it run away with you and just eat and nibble on everything. Right. Okay. So then what happens? Purim's over. And I know for us, the dining room table is just covered with stuff. Right. So, what is a candyaholic to do? What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do,
What
Jill?
do you do? Okay, so we definitely start dividing things up. there are the things that, okay, like you said, I really want that. I'm
Right.
trying to think what anything chocolate would be for me, what
Right.
I really want.
Yeah. For me, it would be like a bag of Maui onion potato chips.
Okay,
But,
yes, I like that. That's good too. And then we have the things that just don't appeal to us at all. Whatever it is, the marshmallows, maybe.
Yeah, no, the candies shaped like Legos.
Okay, yes, exactly. So those things just go to the side. Sometimes we get a lot of flavored beverages.
Right. Well, I don't, yeah.
Those also will probably go to the side. So we start to winnow it down,
Right.
And kind of see, what do we want to keep? What do we want to give away?
Right.
What do we want to throw in the trash? And,
Exactly.
it's not really baltashkis. The stuff that's going in the garbage could really not be considered food in the first place.
Right.
If you really do feel bad about it and you want to give it away, find someone to give it to.
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot of alcohol also that comes in to the house.
Right.
So, if that's something you use and indulge in, keep the alcohol. But, a lot of times I'll get rid of that.
Right. Or it may not be something you would actually drink.
Right.
Or something you
Right.
like. Yeah.
So remember also we talked about the 3-bite rule.
Right.
So if there is stuff that you want to sample, go with the 3-bite rule, brush your teeth afterwards.
Right.
So then you're done. You can also put candy, chocolate in the freezer.
Right.
So then before you go take it out, you have to think about, do I really want it? Because it's frozen and
Right.
you would have to wait for it to defrost. Okay, so let's say you did indulge and
Yep.
you did eat tons of candy
All
and
right.
now you're regretting it because you don't feel good, most likely,
Right.
and you're in a bit of a sugar coma.
Right.
What do you do? Well, one day is not the end of the world.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing you have to remember. Just
Right.
because you did all this doesn't mean it's the end.
Right.
You just have to get back on track.
Right.
Make sure you drink a lot of water, kind
Right.
of flush it all out. Try and do the veggies, proteins, just try and focus a little
Right.
bit more. Hopefully by now the food is not in the house anymore.
Right. I also might kind of I would like to add to that. Sort of, if you have that aha moment and it's the middle of Purim day, you are not bound and beholden to continue eating, all the candy the rest of the day. Like, you don't have to say to yourself, oh, well, I'm having a bad day, so I'll just continue eating unhealthfully.
Right.
You can say, okay, yeah, I made some mistakes here, so let me try and pull it back a little bit at this point.
Right. Exactly. So I think for Esty, I hope these tips kind of help, but remember that this is an opportunity to teach your children about moderation and balance.
Right.
And that you should set a good example yourself.
Right.
And that your kids will follow your lead and kind of say, okay, these treats are here. I can have them. But
Right.
what's the most balanced way for me to indulge and enjoy them
Right.
without
Yeah.
getting sick?
And I think another thing too would be, as you brought up before, if you're going to have a treat, really enjoy it. Like sit and really eat it mindfully, concentrating on what you're eating, which is a great lesson also.
Right.
And you'll get more pleasure out of it.
Right. So
Okay.
So that's answers Esty's question, but there's another important point about Purim that I think we would be remiss if we didn't address. So Dr. Moskowitz.
Okay, so I think you're referring to drinking.
Yes.
Yes. So I found some very useful information about this. So I went on to Chabad.org and Rabbi Zvi Freeman has a very great article about it. So I'm going to read a little bit from exactly what he wrote.
Okay.
So what he wrote is, okay, everyone get ready for this one. Purim is not about drinking alcohol. Purim is about being drunk with sincere happiness.
Let's take a minute and think about that. It's not about the drinking to get drunk.
Right. It's about being drunk with happiness.
happiness.
Right. So he said traditionally Jews have celebrated Purim by drinking a little extra wine at their Purim Suda with friends. And if that gets you there, then it's the halakhically prescribed way to do the mitzvah. It's fine. Drinking, according to the sages, can heighten the joy and excitement of Purim. So they declared it's actually a mitzvah, as long as you're confident your behavior will remain at the high standard expected by Torah.
Okay, so it doesn't mean drinking yourself to oblivion
or
we've
to
seen.
the emergency room,
Right.
or to throwing up, or to passing out,
Right.
or to saying inappropriate things, or
Right.
Go on.
I know
Yeah.
people whose children have unfortunately ended up in the emergency
I know
room with
too.
alcohol poisoning
Right,
on
exactly.
Purim. So that is not what this is,
Okay.
what we're supposed
Yes,
to be doing.
right. And in fact, this is a direct quote from him. And he says, if you're planning to drive or you know that drinking can otherwise get you into any kind of trouble, then alcohol might as well be pork juice.
Ooh, pork juice, not a pork chop.
No,
pork
juice, right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and then he goes, the idea is to be ecstatic in commemoration of our ancestors being drunk with happiness, that under the threat of extermination, the whole Jewish people in exile had stayed Jewish, had followed Torah, and were delivered from mass destruction. And he also gives, what I really liked was towards the end, he gave some other ways of how to go wild.
Okay.
And kind of get yourself like sort of drunk on life.
Okay. I'm curious.
Okay. That don't involve alcohol or other external mind altering substances.
Okay.
So basically he was saying like, step out of your comfort zone and do something like kind of wild and crazy. Remember the old Steve Martin sketch?
Yes.
I'm a wild and crazy guy.
Yes, yes.
So basically but wild and crazy in the service of doing things for others.
Okay.
So he says like kind of, this isn't so wild and crazy, but anyway, but give shalach manot to Jewish neighbors or friends or acquaintances who are not Orthodox
Right.
and who have no idea what this whole thing is about.
Right.
He talked about putting on a costume, and you'd have to probably arrange this beforehand, going to sort of a local hospital or a nursing home
old age
or
home.
whatever. He said even you might want to hire somebody who themselves is a clown, and you go there as assistant, and you go there and you just kind of go a little crazy, just like not yourself, not your formal buttoned up,
Right.
self.
I think it's also
out
good
there a little.
People who know how to read the Megillah to go and read Megillah
Exactly.
for people who can't come to shul, don't
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
And if you're so in that state of mind, I don't know if you've had this. I think you probably have. I've had a couple of times where I've heard Megillah readings where people do voices, or they do little songs during the Megillah reading, or they do little accompaniments, and it's so much fun.
Right.
And it's like, and it's funny, and not making fun of the Megillah, but it's just
Right.
it's like funny. It's cute. It gets people into the mood more, much more than like cat pistols going off.
Right. Right.
So, and needless to say, do not drink and drive, even a bicycle or a scooter. So I just want to go through this quick. So the rule of thumb for drinking, if you are going to drink, to not get intoxicated, no more than 1 drink per hour.
Okay. I mean,
As
it
long as you're
also,
eating.
I was going to say it also depends on the person. Some people can tolerate alcohol better, some can't. You need to eat. Right.
But I'm giving this as sort of, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about somebody who's really tiny, but I mean, just so what is a drink? A drink is 1.5 ounces of hard liquor or its equivalent, which is 12 ounces of beer, 8 ounces of malt liquor, or 5 ounces of wine.
Okay.
So
Seems
as long
seems
as
to
you're
me
eating.
like a lot. Like
No.
for me, 2 glasses of wine and I'm done. So
No,
it
yeah.
seems like a lot.
No, but he
still.
says no more than this.
Right. Per hour though. you
Per
said.
hour, as long as you're eating also.
Okay.
And like when you start to sit down, he doesn't say this. This is from the U.S. Health Department. But it's as long as you're eating and
Okay.
things
so,
like that.
So don't sit down and start doing lots of shots with the Rebbe around the tish.
or with whoever.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So other safety tips, that I want to bring up because I've seen this. So first of all, is Purim. Even though it's Purim, you still have to obey all the traffic laws. Okay. So try to park your car or pull over safely before letting anybody out to deliver mishloach manot. Okay. Try to deliver earlier before the post Megillah pre-Suda crush. Right. Look carefully. I can't say this enough. Look carefully before you pull your car out or before you cross the street. Okay? Because and also kind of be with your kids. Sending kids by themselves off to dash across the street, probably not a good plan. Drivers aren't looking. The kids don't look, hopefully adults know to make eye contact with the driver, make sure they see you, basically. Okay. Bicyclists have to follow all the traffic laws that cars follow.
Not just on Purim. That's
all year long, right?
Yes.
It is illegal to drink and drive a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're under the age of 18 in California, a helmet's required.
Right.
If your child cannot understand and or reliably follow traffic rules, they should not be riding in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this, but in some states there's you have to be below a certain age to drive on the sidewalk.
Um,
In California, it doesn't matter. You
Okay.
can be
And
any age.
also, I want to point out all these scooters that we see a lot of.
I'm going to go into
You're gonna
scooters
talk
now.
about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So electric scooters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So currently, you need to be at least 16. You need to have a driver's license or instruction permit. You need to wear a helmet. You need to ride in the street and not on sidewalks. And you need to follow all the traffic rules.
And you need to go with the flow of traffic.
Yeah, that is a traffic rule.
Okay,
right?
yeah, but I don't think
yeah.
people are aware of that
Right,
necessarily.
and that's the same thing for bikes too.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go more than 15 miles an hour. You cannot be intoxicated or on a cell phone. And I've seen this a lot, parents, you can only ride solo. You should never have two people on a scooter.
Mm-hmm.
And if your kid's under 16, they should not be on the scooter. And they need a driver's license. Okay.
Right.
And the other thing, too, is remember the rules about scooters are kind of in flux now.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the basics right now.
And I think also it's important to mention your kids' costumes.
Yes.
Make sure that they fit them well, that
Yes.
the kids can see, that they're not flammable,
Right.
And that the kids can move around in them.
Right. And if they're going to be on a bicycle or scooter, that it's not going to get caught in the moving parts.
Right. Okay. So we're wishing everybody a very happy and a very safe Purim.
Yes, we are.
Please, send us pictures. You can find us on Instagram at Jill Scharfman. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that is it for this episode of Let My People Eat. Please visit our website at letmypeopleeat.com and leave us a comment. Get in touch at our email at podcast@letmypeopleeat.com or call us at 317-659-0004. Post on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook with the hashtag #LetMyPeopleEatPodcast. If you like this show, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Tell your friends and family, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts.
And please remember that although we are certified professionals, this is not a medical advice podcast. No content, posts, or comments should be interpreted as professional guidance. Always speak to your own health practitioner about making the right life changes for you.
Until next time, I am Jill Scharfman.
And I am Andrea Moskowitz.
Thanks for joining us.
And go in good health.